I want to welcome everybody to our Respite Voucher Learning Collaborative. It was really great to see some of you in Madison last month. It was almost overwhelming to see people in person. I was very moved by it. And so I'm still on a high from it. So thank you all for those of you that were able to make it to Madison. It was a really great experience. I'm great to be back on Zoom with all of you too. It's wonderful that we have Zoom so we can still see each other. We hope to have, I just want to let you know that we hope to have the recordings of the plenary sessions. I was supposed to have them this week, but I have not received them yet. And the grantee meeting in its entirety was recorded as well. So for those of you who couldn't join us, you will be able to view the recordings. Each of you will have a chance to introduce yourselves. This meeting is pretty much going to focus on smaller breakout room discussions. And you'll have a chance to introduce yourselves more fully when we get into the small groups. But if you want to go ahead and say hello in the chat, that would be great. Feel free to do that. I want to quickly introduce our Voucher Learning Collaborative leaders who help plan today's meeting and who always so willingly and graciously share their experiences and their knowledge with us. And if they'd like to say a few words, that would be great. Let's start with Tracy Kahlo from Washington State.
Hello all, and I see that we have Lynn from our neighboring sister state of Idaho out here in the Great Pacific Northwest. I'm excited to be here. Always love learning from each other, and wasn't able to make it to Wisconsin, but was able to have a wonderful session. So we had a little peek view, and you all just did an awesome job of making that possible and allowing us to remote in. So I'm excited about today. Thank you all so much for being here.
Nadine?
Hello, everybody. It's always good. Thank you, Jill, for pulling us all together. We wouldn't do it without you, so appreciate you. I'm from Oklahoma, the Lifespan Respite Grant, also the Oklahoma Caregiver Coalition. And I'll let my team also introduce themselves. Talina?
Talina Ford with Nadine on the Oklahoma Lifespan Respite Grant as well, and the Oklahoma Caregiver Coalition.
And Aida?
Hello, everyone. And yes, it was just so nice to meet those of you who were in person in Madison. And I'm with you. I was just, over all the years that we've worked together, and to actually be in person was just such a blessing. I really enjoyed it. And looking forward to this afternoon's meeting.
Thank you. You know, this is a relatively small group. So if anybody else would like to unmute yourselves and say hello and introduce yourself, either do that or put it in the chat, that would be great. If you have any updates you want to share right now, that would be fine. Anybody? I also want to let you know that if any of you, especially those of you who are more experienced in voucher respite implementation, ever want to join our little leadership group that helps plan these voucher collaboratives, please let us know. We'd love to invite you to participate in this. You can have more of a say in what we're going to cover, how this voucher collaborative is structured, or if you have great ideas about how you'd like to see it done completely differently, we're very open to that. So just let me know if you're interested in that. Before we get started, I have a little polling to do. One of the main purposes of this learning collaborative, of course, is to share best practices in respite voucher implementation, but it's also really about building those peer-to-peer relationships with colleagues that allow you to reach out to each other between these collaborative meetings and get the help and the resources that you need in real time. And to help us know if we're being successful in building those kinds of relationships and to gauge how frequently that's happening, I have just a few polling questions for you, and I hope you'll bear with us to see if we can get these asked. This is question 1. And just take a minute to think about how often you're in touch with other state grantees or people from state respite coalitions to give or to get information about voucher respite. These can be, you know, larger exchanges where maybe you're having a group discussion about liability issues or other administrative issues, or it's just a quick email or phone call about where to locate a specific resource. Whatever that contact is, that just to let us know that that's happening in between these collaborative meetings. Give you another couple of seconds. I think just about everybody has responded. Here are the results. Oh, a lot of you, more than half of you are sharing, contacting to get information or to give information. Almost 2/3, well, 2/3 of you are doing that. So that's really wonderful. And another close to 40% haven't done it yet. So if you hear something today from someone and you want to learn more about it, please feel free to reach out. I think this is an incredibly generous group, very willing to share what they've learned and share their challenges as well as their successes. Okay, the second question is to get a little bit more specific. If you gave information or asked for information, let us know on which topics, and you should be able to check all of them that you might have asked about. And you might have to scroll down. I don't know how this looks on your screen. I put too many choices in there, but you might have to scroll to see all of the choices. If you check other, just let us know in the chat what other issues you may have reached out about. And of course, if you haven't reached out yet, don't answer this question. Okay, I think just about everybody has responded. Here are the results. Tools and applications, outreach, starting a new program. 1/4 of you have given or asked about that. Serving unique or diverse populations, only 10%. That surprises me a little bit, but I know that because these are lifespan vouchers that you very often open them up to everyone anyway. And then tax issues are always of concern to many of us. And then just one more quick question. I appreciate your patience. And just let us know if you did connect with someone, were all or most of the exchanges helpful to you in your work? Okay, everybody voted? I think so. Oh, everybody who responded, you either haven't connected or all of you said they were helpful. So that's really great to know. Maybe that will encourage those of you who haven't participated in this between meeting exchange, realize that it's a friendly and wonderful thing to do and you shouldn't be afraid to ask for help. That's great. Thank you all so much for doing that. I really appreciate it very much. Okay, today we're going to, let me share my screen for a second. Are you seeing the slide by any chance? No, hold on a second. I'm not sure what's happening here. How about now? Can you see the screen, the slide? Okay, great. Today we're going to, let me bring up the agenda. Oh, first I want to talk about this guidebook. We're going to address some of the topical areas that were discussed in more detail in our recently released self-directed respite voucher guidebook. If you were with us in Madison at the Lifespan Respite Grantee and Partner Learning Symposium, you heard Erica Andre with the organization Applied Self-Direction, which developed the guide for us. She walked us through the main categories and areas of the report. One of the most helpful parts of the guide, in addition to the updated information about tax issues and Department of Labor employer issues, I think one of the most helpful parts of the guide are the case studies that were done by Applied Self-Direction. And again, here I have to thank two of our Learning Collaborative leaders were actually interviewed for those case studies from Oklahoma and Washington State. So my personal thanks to you from those states for engaging in those interviews with Applied Self-Direction. And then Alabama, I think Tracy, you're on the call also. So thank you to all of you for contributing such worthwhile information. I think the case studies are really the most valuable part of that guide. So I hope that you'll all have a chance to look at the guide in more depth, and that you'll have a chance to refer to the manual when you do have specific questions, especially about some of the more complicated issues around the Department of Labor regulations or tax issues. And some of those issues don't apply, especially the Department of Labor regulations may not apply to you yet when you have such small programs, but as you build and grow and sustain your efforts, these questions may arise and may become more important to you. Did anybody have a chance to look at the guide, and do you have any questions about the guide in particular? If you want to unmute yourself.
This is Lynn from Idaho.
Yes.
And I really appreciated the guide is wonderful. And it's funny you mentioned the Department of Labor, because we're meeting with them on Monday to discuss some issues. So very helpful there. Thank you. Okay, great. Wonderful. And you know, the folks at Applied Self-Direction also are always available for technical assistance as well. They're really wonderful people, and we'd be happy to talk with you if you have very specific questions around your state issues that they could be helpful with. Anybody else?
Jill, it's Dina from New York. I just wanted to share the guide's been helpful to us as well. We are getting ready to offer vouchers under the National Family Caregiver Support Program through our program standards. And we made a decision to develop a readiness assessment tool so that they could kind of think through maybe some things they have to put into place before implementation. So the guide's been really helpful for us in that regard. And I know Claire, the intern from our office, is on the call today, but she's been kind of leading the work with the readiness tools. So when we get it finalized, I'd be happy to share it. But
oh, that would be really wonderful. I know Abby had written to me and asked me if there was such a tool, and I thought it was a great idea. And if you guys weren't doing it, or if you need help, we could go back to Applied Self-Direction also and help them, or ask them to help with that. So if you run into any issues or want some additional support for that, we'd be happy to help you do that.
We may take you up on that. Thank you.
Yeah. It just sounded like such a really good tool to have, especially for brand new programs. Well, here's the agenda for today. As I said earlier, we're really going to we don't have any official formal presentations today. This is really a chance for you all to speak in small groups. And as I said, we use the guidebook to help generate these three broad topics. We just picked these three out of the guidebook for today. We can cover other topics in future collaborative calls, but we thought we'd focus on stakeholder involvement, marketing and outreach, and offering information and assistance. And if you had a chance to look at the discussion guide, there are a lot of questions there. You don't have to feel compelled to answer all of them. This is a very flexible, fluid conversation. We don't need to have you covering all of those topics today. We can always, as I said, delve into them in more depth on subsequent calls. So as a group, you might want to just look and decide which 3 of those topical areas you want to focus on today. And you may get through more than one of those. You may get through all 3 of them, but you decide which group of questions you'd like to start with. So the instructions for today are very simple. You all have the same questions, and you'll be randomly assigned to the discussion groups. Each room will have a facilitator from our learning collaborative. One will be led by Aida Stevens from Sooner Success in Oklahoma. That's group 2. Group 1, I should have said that first, will be Talina Ford and Nadine Walter with the Oklahoma Lifespan Respite Grant. And group 3 will be with Tracy in room 3. But you'll be randomly assigned. We set aside about 45 minutes for the discussion. We made it a little bit longer this time because the feedback that we got was that the breakout discussions we had before were too short. People wanted a little more time. So we'll try this format during the session and give you a little bit more time to discuss. Then we'll come back into the main room and either the collaborative leaders or someone designated in the group will share 1 or 2 highlights. Something new and exciting or important that you'd like to share with the rest of the group. We're going to be hopefully recording each of those sessions for folks who couldn't be here today, just so you know that in advance. And we do encourage you to turn on your camera. I see a lot of you have your cameras on today, but when you get into the smaller groups, if you have the bandwidth, I think it's really helpful to have a more engaging discussion if we can see you. So if you can turn your camera on, that will be great. And then as I said, we'll come back to the main room and finish out with highlights from our discussions. Any questions with anyone? From anyone? Before we get started? Let me, before we do, in case you don't have the breakout discussion guide, for those of you that may not have it, I'm going to put it into the chat right now. And I think you'll still be able to see that chat in the breakout rooms as well, in case you don't have the breakout discussion guide. I sent it all to you right before the call as well, so it would be at the top of your inbox and you wouldn't have to search for it. Everybody good to go?